Ambassador Ditrani, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Let me start with the prospects of six-party talks. Recently, there have been relatively active dialogues between the U.S. and China on North Korea, including Secretary Kerry's meeting with his Chinese counterpart. Do you think this suggests that the two sides are getting closer and narrowing the gaps on how to and when to resume the six-party talks?
Well, I think significant progress. I think the visit of Foreign Minister Wang Yi to Washington was very significant. I think his message was very powerful, that North Korea is prepared to come back to the six-party negotiations and talk about denuclearization. So I think that shows China is becoming, or indeed is, very active in working with their counterparts in Pyongyang to resume the six-party process and ultimately achieve the goal of denuclearization of North Korea and of the Korean Peninsula.
But so far, both U.S. and China, at least on the surface, they're talking about their positions, which are pretty much the same as before. Do you see any possibility of both sides getting closer?
I think the U.S. and China are close with respect to denuclearization. I think both sides continually feel the need for North Korea to denuclearize, as they said they would with the September 2005 joint statement. So I think we're close on that. It's the process. It's the fact that North Korea has in many ways gone beyond the pale. They've had a nuclear test, the third nuclear test. They've had another 2 missile launches. So I think the U.S. is very disappointed that North Korea continues to escalate while saying they're serious about re-engaging in negotiations. They continue to escalate, and I think that's disturbing for the U.S. side.
If there is a deal to be struck by the U.S. and China on resuming the six-party talks, what would be the most plausible scenario or compromise to be made in the immediate future?
I'm not sure that compromise is the word. I don't think there is a compromise. I think the commitment, it should be unconditional, and it should be coming back to six-party negotiations to implement the September 19, 2005 joint statement, which is very comprehensive. On the one hand, for North Korea to move towards denuclearization, actions for action, and to get the security assurances, the economic assistance, and ultimately a normal relationship with the United States and other countries. So I think that's all there. So it's a question of a commitment to move in that direction. And I think there's a sense, this is my personal view, a sense that North Korea may not be as committed to the implementation of the September 2005 joint statement. And that's unfortunate. I think if there is the appreciation that North Korea is prepared to implement the September 2005 joint statement, I think all parties are willing to sit down and re-engage and move towards the implementation.
Last month, North Korea invited Robert King, the special envoy for North Korean human rights issues, to discuss the issue of a Korean American detained in North Korea, Mr. Kenneth Bae. But North Korea canceled the invitation at the last minute. And North Korea also has postponed indefinitely the reunions of families separated by the Korean War. What do you think drives this seemingly inconsistent moves? Do you think Kim Jong-un still lacks firm grips on power and is kind of subject to ongoing internal power struggles?
This has happened before. I think when expectations are high, when there's a strong element of optimism, suddenly something happens and the situation changes. The visit of Ambassador King to Pyongyang, ideally to re-engage or engage with Pyongyang on the release of Kenneth Bae, was dashed at the last minute. He was in Tokyo. And that was a great disappointment. The same thing with the reunification of the families in the North and South. A great disappointment, right at the last minute. This behavior we've seen before. This is not new. So I don't believe, my sense is this has nothing to do with tension within Pyongyang. This is sort of how North Korea does business. And this is the thing that is so perplexing, I think, to many of those who work with the North Koreans and want to resolve these issues. Why at the last minute would you make changes like this when you're building trust? And that's so important in the relationship. When you're building trust, why would you do things like cancel Ambassador King's visit at the last minute, cease the reunification of the families at the last minute when there's such high expectations. That was both were so disappointing. No, I don't think it's a power struggle. I don't think it's pressure. I think this is how North Korea does business.
North Korea demonstrated their willingness to suspend the operation of Kaesong Industrial Complex under certain circumstances. Do you think Kaesong still has a strategic importance for the security of the Korean Peninsula?
I do. It shows. I think the agreement on Kaesong, the joint committee, the internationalization, the commitment that neither party would cease operation of Kaesong, and now reopening Kaesong, I think it's important for both North and South. This is the confidence building that's necessary. In addition, for North Korea, it's a revenue stream. Over 50,000 employees, there's significant over $30 billion a year, so there's revenue. But I think the most important aspect of Kaesong is it builds mutual trust, and that is so necessary.
Ambassador Ditrani, thank you very much for coming and for your time.
Thank you. I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.